So far, we have defined a zero pair as two numbers that, when added together, equal 0. Okay? The most popular zero pairs that we have been using have been the combination of a shaded triangle plus an unshaded triangle. We know that those two things being added together, or when they're together, equals 0. We also know from our notes and from all of our work that the reason that they equal 0 is because when shaded triangle equals -2, then we know that unshaded triangle equals +2. And those are opposite numbers. When we add them together, we get 0. It's like having two anchors and two floats. We also know that if shaded triangle is the positive number, +10, that means that unshaded triangle would be -10. So they make 0. So that's what we've been using zero pairs for so far. Today we're going to add in a new symbol, and we're going to start talking about negative numbers and how we're going to work with negative numbers. So the main idea that you need to walk away with today is that, number one, we are going to start recording, or I should say we're going to keep recording our positive numbers in rectangles. And that's because we're going to look at those differently than we look at our negative numbers, which are going to be in circles. Okay. So the way that we're going to approach these problems within our equations is we're going to say, all right, we know that zero pairs cancel each other out and make 0. So if we're adding +10 and -4, we can actually decompose our 10 and make it into two numbers, +4 and +6. Now what I've got added together is 4 plus 6 plus 4. And I know that this +4 and this -4 cancel one another out. So I am able to cross those out, and I'm left with 6. Let's take a look at what that is going to look like in your equations. We're going to try letter A. Oops. Letter A. And letter A is kind of an easy one. X plus 5 plus -2 equals 2x. So when I make my translation, I am going to do everything just as is. I'm going to put my +5 in a square and my -2 in a circle. And I don't need to, just as usual, I don't need to put plus anywhere because I know if I translate all of this properly, I know I'm adding. And then my two x's over here are typical x's. So the first thing I'm going to start to look at is the fact that I've got these two numbers, and I know that I can cancel some of them out because I know when I've got positive numbers and negative numbers, if I can make a zero pair, I can cancel something out. So I'm going to take my 5 and I'm going to rewrite it, decompose it into two numbers, 2 and 3. And that allows me to cancel out a zero pair of -2 and +2. And now what I've got left, if I do a rewrite, is x and a 3 equal 2 x's on the other side. If I cross out an x over here and an x over here. My answer is that triangle, shaded triangle is 3, and star or unshaded is -3. All right, so let's start letter B. Letter B is going to involve a few more legal moves to it, along with some positives and negatives. So I've got 4x plus 2 star equals -4 plus 2x plus 14 plus star. I'm going to make my scale, and I'm going to start with my 4 x's. Those are regular x's. And my 2 stars. Then on the right, I've got a -4, so I've got to put that into a circle. 2 x's and a 14, a positive 14, so it goes into a rectangle, and a star. So I've got a couple different places that I could start here. I'm actually going to can start by taking a star and a star, 2 x's and 2 x's. It's going to make this a little bit easier to look at. So I've got 2 stars on the left, 2 x's and 1 star. And I've got -4 and positive 14 on the right. So what I notice again is that I've got a negative number and a positive number, and I know that I can make a 0 pair. If I can get the opposite of -4 out of 14, I can make a 0 pair and do some canceling. So I am going to rewrite 14, and I'm going to decompose that into 4, positive 4, and 10, which allows me to cross off -4 and positive 4, leaves me with oh my goodness, I missed that there was a 0 pair on this side. So it looks like very easily I've got x equals 10 and star equals -10. Letter C, let's try one that has our new symbol of -x and some positive and negative numbers as well. So this one says 2 times the quantity -x plus 5 plus -2 equals, whoops, excuse me, I missed something, plus 3x equals -x plus 3x. So this is a long one. I hope I have enough space here. Zoom out a little bit. Let's see. So I need to 2 times over. I'm going to need to repeat -x plus 5. Now the other day we learned that if you wanted to kind of extend this line here, -x is really just the star. So I'm going to write that as star and a 5. That's repeating it 1 time. But because of this number, I know I need to repeat it twice, so I'll do it again. Star and a 5. Then I've got this plus -2 here. So I'm going to make a circle and a -2 and I've got 3 x's. Now on the other side, I've got a negative x, which is the same as a star, and 3 x's. So there's a lot of different legal moves that we could use right now. I am going to start with crossing off 0 pairs on the same side, because that's what I missed the last time. I missed crossing off the shaded and the unshaded 0 pair. I've got 2 here and 2 here. I'm going to do a rewrite to stay organized. So I've got, let's see, I'm going to combine my 5 and 5 here, and I'm going to say that I've got a positive 10 and a negative 2 and a x on the left, and I've got 2 x's on the right. So I'm going to focus in on those numbers, and I'm going to say if I know I can make a 0 pair, then I can cancel this out with a positive 2 and a negative 2. So I'm going to decompose my 10 into 2 and 8, okay, which allows me to cancel positive 2 and negative 2. That's a 0 pair. And then I've also got an x on the left and an x on the right that I can cross off. It's kind of hard to see, but basically what I have is that x equals 8. That's all I've got left. So, oops, there's my black. In this case, x equals 8 and star equals negative 8. So the last example I'll do is example D. Negative 3 plus x minus 3x plus 9 equals 3x, take away 2x. All right, so if I go item by item, the first thing I have is a negative 3. So I'm going to put that in a circle. And I'm going to add an x. And then I am supposed to take away 3 x's. The problem is I only have 1 x to take away. So it looks like I'm going to have to bring in some 0 pairs. Since I already have 1 x and I need to take away 3, it looks like I only need 2 0 pairs. So I'm going to bring in 2 0 pairs, and that allows me to take away 3 x's, 1, 2, 3, and then I can go back to my setup and make a positive 9, or a 9 in a rectangle. On the right, I've got 3 x's, but I'm asked to take away 2. I'm going to do a rewrite, helps me stay organized. So I've got negative 3, 2 stars, and a 9 on the left, and an x on the right. So I'm going to go to my numbers now, because I know I've got a negative 3, and I know that within this 9 I've got a positive 3, so I can make a 0 pair. So I'm going to rewrite my 9 into 2 numbers. I'm going to decompose it. 9 is the same as 3 plus 6. So now that I've got a 3 here, I can cross off a positive 3 and a negative 3, cancel those out. My rewrite says star and a 6 is equal to an x. So now I have to think through some of my other options. I know that I would probably like to cancel the stars because I'd like to leave the 6 behind. So I think I'm going to have to do another bringing in I'm going to bring in 2 x's on the left to cancel out my stars, but then I also have to bring in 2 x's on the right. And so now what I've done is create 0 pair number 1 with triangles, 0 pair number 2 with triangles, and I have 1, 2, 3 triangles equal to 6, which means my final answer is shaded triangle equals 2, and unshaded triangle equals -2.